was looking back on his life, wondering if it could be seen as an epic novel. He had had interesting experiences, some he even considered exciting. There had been a few extreme highs and lows. He had done quite a bit of traveling, which had included school trips, business trips, and vacations, including a trip to the 1964 New York World's Fair. But the more he thought, the more it became clear to him that his life had been more like a series of short stories. Was it because he had had many experiences that were unrelated to each other, lacking a common theme? Or was it because he had watched many 1 hour and half-hour television shows with storylines that had to be self-contained in the short time allotted? He enjoyed full-length movies, and as he got older, he also enjoyed novels and biographies. But his life didn't seem to have the continuous storyline that each of those films and books had. In retrospect, the man concluded that the meaning of life was elusive. He still liked those 1 hour television shows. In one of his favorites, Burn Notice, guest star Burt Reynolds said, "All you really have in the end are your stories." Maybe the words of a former cosmopolitan centerfold held more meaning than those of the great philosophers. When he was 6, he got engaged to a girl up the street. That's right, engaged to be married. They hadn't set a date, nor had they made any other plans for the wedding. The engagement fell apart when he decided to eat a half popsicle without offering her any. This was because his parents only let him buy a popsicle from the popsicle man every other day. He would have to break the double stick treat in half and store the remaining half in the freezer. So there really wasn't anything to offer his fiancée. She didn't accept that explanation, so the engagement was off when he decided to go ahead and refresh himself on that hot summer day with one of childhood's simple pleasures. Because he liked stories, he would listen with admiring attention when his grandfathers told him of their adventures. His paternal grandfather claimed to have captured a wolf with his bare hands, jumping on it from behind and grabbing its ears. His maternal grandfather had a dramatic escape story from Bolshevik Russia. He studied music at an early age, playing several instruments, at first starting with classical music. He also wrote original pieces for piano, string quartet, and orchestra. At age 11, he conducted the local orchestra at a summer concert, playing his original orchestral suite. By that time, he was also writing poetry. In junior high school, he started on a novel based on the stories his grandfathers had told him. In high school, he joined a rock band. That experience alone provided him with many potential short story plots. Over the years, he would write stories, poems, and essays when he happened to be inspired. Also, over the years, he lived out many dramas, including 3 engagements, not counting the one at age 6, 2 marriages, and a 12-year family crisis precipitated by his father's dementia that resulted in financial catastrophe. During his first marriage, he and his wife played in a lounge band on the road. Then they moved to New York, where they each finished their bachelor's degrees, took private music lessons, and worked at various jobs. In Brooklyn, they lived on the block where Dog Day Afternoon had been filmed. In Manhattan, they lived on the corner of 86th and Broadway, across the street from the apartment building where author Isaac Bashevis Singer lived. Just about every day in New York City provided a potential short story opportunity. After 7 years, they went back on the road. It was during that time that the man's first wife told him that she was leaving. For the record, there was no popsicle involved. He stayed on the road a little longer and then returned to his hometown to start a new life. After 2 years of being single that included cleaning stalls at a racetrack, playing in country bands, dabbling in photography, working in a print shop, and trying whitewater rafting, the man met the woman he would later marry. They played in bands together, went on cruises, traveled to Venice, and were surrounded by family drama. The stories could fill several books. One story waiting to be written was about the time the man and his wife flew to San Juan for a vacation in early 2001. The hotel offered free salsa dance lessons, but when they showed up for class, they were the only ones at the lesson that particular day. After a very short instruction, they were given free drink tickets. The trip also included nightly visits to clubs with multiple bands, a visit to the old fort, a tour of the nearby rainforest, snorkeling, feeding breadcrumbs to the fish, and a chance meeting with someone from their hometown. Finally, in the hotel dining room, they noticed guest Ryan Stiles of the Drew Carey Show and Whose Line Is It Anyway, sitting at the nearby table. This was their very first actual vacation of the almost 15-year marriage that wasn't a short in-state trip, a business-related trip, or a family visit. The man concluded that this particular vacation, as eventful as it was, could also be the backdrop for a story involving spies, a kidnapping, or a natural disaster. He thought about all the events, places, and people in his past and decided to start writing again. Why not? It wasn't too late, was it? He also decided to make sure he never ate a popsicle in front of his wife without offering to share. Honey, one for you and one for me.